that game that the nation doesn't want to hear any more about also turned last night on full court press defense in an NBA game. I don't think the Heat trailed after that, after getting their building in, because they got a couple of steals on pressing full court defense. And Stugotz, because I am so stimulated by what's happening in sports coverage,
Hubba hubba.
Trae Young had a game winner in the series. Had a game winner in the series, and all we talked about after that particular game is, God, Jimmy Butler got a bad shot at the end. Like that, Trae Young bought himself nothing with even that game winner because we got him stripped naked. It's hard to get game winners in the playoffs, Stugotz.
Do it again. I mean,
well, he can't now.
I know. We'll do it next year.
He had his chances in Game 5. It's not like the Heat were going down the stretch with smooth flowing offense. There was that one Oladipo up and under to Bam that was massive to kill a run, but the Heat were in molasses at the end of that one.
Did Trae Young not earn a single thing last year?
I do. Like, I think he did, and that's why going back to give the Heat some credit, it's because, like, what Trae Young did in the playoffs last year was really freaking impressive. Yep. Like, taking out the Knicks, taking out Philly, taking Milwaukee to 6. Like, that was an incredibly impressive playoff run.
Whittingham, he's 4th in the league in scoring. They had the best half-court offense in the league, regardless. We will move on to other subjects because an old person, and I certainly recognize this, has gotten a name wrong. And Jessica mentioned her Cubs fandom, and I've been calling him Bartman for a long time because that's what old people do instead of Bartman.
Bartman.
And
Simpsons
now
character.
But you were doing it since you were a young man. Yeah.
And
emphasizing the wrong syllables.
That's correct. And Joe Biden says this while talking about NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman.
I want to thank Commissioner Gary Bettman and for being here as well.
It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. It sounded like he wasn't sure, and he went between the E and the A.
Do you remember when Donald Trump said Tim Apple?
Let's hear it.
Tim Apple. Wow, that's not even in the top 100 of Trump moments. Tim Apple.
I need to hear that again, though. I do.
I want to thank Commissioner Gary Bettman and for being here as well.
That's Batman. I mean, I'm sorry. There's no figuring it out. He was torn. Batman. He thought his name was Batman.
Kill the Batman.
But the thing about this is, like, this is one of those moments where, if you ever watch Veep, there's always the moment where like, they're whispering into Selena Meyer's ear who she's about to talk to, and then she goes and butchers the name. That's what this kind of feels like. All right, Joe, today you've got the NHL commissioner in. His name is Gary Bettman. They whispered it in his ear 2 minutes before he gives this speech, and then he steps up to the podium and says,
I want to thank Commissioner Gary Bettman and for being here as well.
And that staffer in the corner is like, God damn it, I said it was Bettman.
I mean, he's not a hockey fan, right? Like, Joe Biden doesn't give a shit about hockey. He wouldn't make this mistake with Goodell or Manfred.
No, I kind of feel like Joe Biden kind of seems like a hockey guy.
Well, the thing that I hear here more than any, right, and I understand
is old.
That's correct. What I hear is, let's just not even make it the president of the United States, okay? Let's just make it you've walked into a regional nursing home, and for some reason they're talking about the Calgary Flames there.
Here come the Flames.
And there is a old man, and he's just talking in a corner. He's not the president of the United States. He's just a dude who lives at Century Village.
I can't wait to do this.
And here he is, and he's just got some opinions, and let's listen to those opinions, and you guys tell me if it just doesn't. His voice really sounds old.
I want to thank Commissioner Gary Bettman and for being here as well.
But he's also always kind of been, even before he became the president, the Stugotz of politicians. Like he's always kind of been the yeah, I got this. Like I know the guy's name. I'll be okay.
Do you guys think it's a great job to be the person who always just whispers the name? Because these important people must get this all the time, where you have to remember, you have to make someone feel good about themselves. There are jobs, I'm sure, or a job responsibility of someone who is there to whisper to someone, this person, this is their name.
It's the Tony Hale role in Veep.
Yes.
Like Tony Hale walks behind Selena Meyer. His name's Gary. He carries her bag. He knows where all of her stuff is in her bag, and he whispers notes and names to her.
Yeah.
And he's really the one like running the country because he knows everything and everybody.
Yeah.
But he's relegated to like whispering in the president or vice president's ear what they need to say and do.
Now imagine on a foreign trip, he's gone to Sweden and he's about to meet like the secretary of agriculture in Sweden, and his name is Alexander something or another.
Skarsgård.
And yeah, Skarsgård, and he's got to figure. And that's, I mean, if Gary Bettman is an issue, then I would be limiting Joe Biden's foreign trips.
Names are hard. We've all been
No,
there.
they're not. No, they're not.
Wait, you
talking about?
and mispronounced a name before?
Whittingham, I will not have you look me in the face after I called him most recently Tim Spoony Burger
Oh, no.
instead of Tim Spoony Barger. I will
Spoony.
not have you look me in the face and say names are not hard. They get harder as you get older, and as we've established, Joe Biden sounds like somebody who's just gone from the tapioca to the fruit cup.
I want to thank Commissioner Gary Batman and for being here as well.
Ageist.
It's how my dad would say it, though. Ah, the Batman. Like something like
I can't. I can't believe I forgot about Tim Apple.
I mean, it's not in the
It
top.
was really
It's not in the top.
underrated.
It really is.
It really flew under the radar. Tim
For whatever
Apple.
reason, the only one that I remember is when he drew on the hurricane map. Because he predicted that a hurricane was going to hit Alabama,
Jesus
even though it
Christ,
wasn't in the
no.
National Weather Service projection, and he drew with a Sharpie Alabama on the map. For whatever reason, that's the only one that I will ever remember. And there's probably 1,000 of them that are
Well,
going under the radar.
But he's still making them because I just read like a headline the other day, sweaty Trump storms off of Piers Morgan's set. And it's like, oh, that's a good one. That's one of the tricks in the book there. Just like, yeah, just.
No one saw that one coming.
Just say a bunch of gibberish at the cameras and the microphones and then storm off, and nobody will be talking about anything except the storm off. None of the words or facts or lack of facts beforehand matter. All that matters is sweaty Trump storms off.
And Piers is like sympathetic towards Trump, but he's got that British journalist streak of like not letting someone off the hook. I can't imagine if like Piers was actually interested in interviewing. I can't imagine a worse person for Trump to go and sit down with. There was also some controversy about whether or not that was edited.
Controversy.
Controversy about whether or not that was edited, and like it didn't actually storm off. It was just kind of the end of the interview. But anyway, like Trump and follow-ups, not a good match.
Billy, why are you rolling your eyes? Just because he insists on what are the 5 worst ones? He always corrects bona fides. They're
Bona fides.
That's not even right, though.
What? Bona fides?
That's not right.
It is right.
Jessica, do you have 5 corrections? Do you think you can be armed with 5 corrections that Witty makes that are starting
Okay,
to
yes,
annoy?
give me a minute.
Starting to annoy people.
I'll make a top 5. Yeah, not
Top
no,
5
Tony.
corrections? Wow.
All right, Tony. Tony says he has 5 right now.
Okay, we'll go to Tony in a second.
Half will be about Tony.
Okay, but I'm a little afraid of this. You guys haven't realized, okay? This is what the rest of the group hasn't realized. He'll get to a microphone first, and he doesn't care what the 5 things are. He'll just get there before you. And
It's a race to the mic,
You
Dan.
guys are trying to come up with lists of 5, and Tony's like, I've got them. And I don't know if these 5 are going to be any good or not, but we're going to try it anyways because he got there first, because that's the most important thing in journalism. Get there first instead of getting it right. So I didn't know that there were 5 with you, Whittingham.
There's at least 5 per episode, I feel like.
Better to be first than right, Dan. It's a
That's
motto
correct.
I've lived by my entire career.
All right, number
Yeah.
5, Tony. And what this list is really things Whittingham, the list is Whittingham's right, but he's wrong.
No, he's not right. He's not right. He's not right.
Bona fides, I'm not right. That bona fides actually started because a guest on this program, I think it was Joel Anderson of Slate, said bona fides, And I was like, I've heard bona fide said that way before, but I didn't realize that other people said it this way. And now it's allowed. It's
probably
opened the
joking.
door. Yeah. No, he said it seriously. He meant it in context.
But you
And
never
I've
looked it
heard-
up. You don't know if the correction you're making is actually correct. You think it is, but you're not sure.
Oh no, bona fides is correct. But I prefer to say bona fides because it makes me happy.
There are others, though, that you're correcting people on. I thought I was.
They all come off as he's correcting people, and he sounds like an arsehole.
Why do you say controversy the way that you're saying it?
Because that's how English people say the word controversy.
You're not English!
I know.
You're not British!
But again,
He
when I
wants to
hear
be, though. He
no, but when
does.
I hear
He does.
the English say words, it's like, wow, that is so different to the way that we say it. I find it intriguing, so I want to expose the broader populace here in the United States to the way of saying controversy across the ocean.
You don't have to. Thanks.
I hope you get canceled in 5 years for British appropriation.
I don't. That can't be a thing.
If the British
I
haven't
hope it
been
becomes a
canceled
thing.
yet,
Hang
they're
on
not
a
getting
second.
canceled.
I hope it becomes a thing and you
Hang
get
on a
canceled
second.
for
How
appropriating.
about British actors stop stealing American jobs by acting like Americans in movies? How about
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
How about that? How about we start there?
Close the acting borders.
How about we start there?
Chris Whittingham said, close the acting borders.
But then Americans can't be British either, right?
How
Why
often
would we
does that?
wanna
When
be?
does that happen?
All
It
the time.
happens.
Really?
Oh, it
Yes.
happens. Yes.
Kristen Stewart played Princess Diana in that new Diana movie. That's the first thing off the top of my
I
head.
feel
There's
like
a million
I
of
feel
them.
like the ratio is like 30-1. British actors playing Americans to
Is
American
Clive,
actors.
Clive Owen is British, right? He sounds like
Yeah.
he's British. His name's Clive.
Yeah.
He played Bill Clinton in the last season of American Crime Story about the impeachment. That was something I never in all my years would have ever expected,
Yeah.
Dan.
He's from
Clive
Coventry.
Owen as Bill Clinton.
Do you guys notice how often Nicole Kidman forgets to
Every show.
camouflage her Australian accent?
Absolutely.
Because I'm not sure most people are noticing, right? I think most people listening to this would say Nicole Kidman is a good actress, right? And I think a lot of people listening to this would say they're not aware of how often somebody doesn't actually speak in the accent. This is a difficult skill, and many people are very good at it in acting, but I think it's often overlooked because I don't believe anyone listening to this thinks to themselves ever, can we appropriate between British and America? Can we get in trouble for having that? Because now you have to, if you are going to have an actor who is handicapped, you're going to need someone who's wheelchair bound. You're not going to be able to hire anymore. Hank Azaria's character in Birdcage can't be done anymore. Hank Azaria's character on The Simpsons, Apu, can't be done anymore. This is the last bastion of hope for appropriation being able to survive, is that I don't believe Whittingham will ever get in trouble for appropriating
Never.
British
But-
accents.
And hang on a second. Like, how about like when they invaded the United States in the 1500s? Like that. That's appropriation. But what I'm doing now and saying controversy is a retort.
The revolution?
It's
That
annoying.
was the
What, man?
1700s.
For colonialism.
What are you talking
It's
about?
my retort to colonialism.
Okay, this is not what you're doing. This is a
You're
mask.
getting back at him.
This is a mask that
Yes.
you're wearing. Top 5. I think this. So these are not things that you're right about that you're actually wrong about. This is just he's an arse. That's what top 5 things that make Whittingham an arse.
I have so many of them. I've got 8 of them actually.
Top 8.
You said I didn't have 5, then I've got 8. So I mean, I'm doing here.
I mean, well,
Keep sleeping on me. I'm going to do 10.
6 or 8 have to be OLI then.
That's fine. You ready?
But it's become a different list though. Now we might want to do this list, but the original list was 5 words that he corrects. It was just words. Like
Yeah.
That's
have
why
that.
he can't. That's why he can't do the
Exactly. The
By the way,
conversation has shifted, Dano.
if we're trying to find someone appropriating something, it's Johnny Depp, and I don't know what it is, but he was born in Kentucky and he grew up in Broward County. So
He's
like,
appropriating Captain Jack Sparrow.
what is he pretending to be?
Johnny Depp in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Whatever he's paid to be, Billy. I mean,
No, it's carried over to real life.
No, but you're right, Billy. Like, Johnny Depp is not a person. He is an actor acting all the time.
It's funny that you say that because when I've heard those sedated sounding depositions about like what sounds like a really just horribly abusive relationship that was poisonous for both of them, like putting cigarettes out on each other, all sorts of awful details. But I do believe that Johnny Depp, while he's talking, is trying to summon something between Peter Pan and Edward Scissorhands, and that's who he's become. And maybe there's some Pirates of the Caribbean in there, but it's so distorted by Hollywood that the guy testifying thinks he's a character of some sort, right? Because it's a lot of drug use is being talked about in that trial, and he seems not quite lobotomized, but like trying to be purposely, deliberately slow in a way that feels like a character's being played, because a character right now, feels like he was defamed and is in trouble with Hollywood, being able to get work and everything else. So in some ways, it's the part of his life, right? It's the acting part that's needed here, but I don't know what's real there. I can't tell if he's in character, if that's what Johnny Depp is in private. I've read the stories of squandering money, shooting Hunter S. Thompson's ashes out of a canyon, $5 billion, drinking wildly, spending just crazy distortions of what his life was like. I have no idea what's real there. Have you been consumed by it, Jessica? Have you found yourself lured into this pit? Because I haven't been hearing anyone around here talking about it.
I have not been. I really haven't seen or read anything about it. I just know that it has become one of those things on social media that if you post about it, there's a bajillion people who, if you're pro Johnny Depp, that are gonna retweet and like it, and if you're anti Johnny Depp, that are gonna be really mad at you. It's one of those things on social media that is a super hot button issue right now. But I really haven't been keeping up with all of the testimony.
I did not think that there would be such a thing as a celebrity media trial that had some of the details that this has got gruesome about abuse, just dysfunction in a relationship that's just appalling and hard to understand, and that America wouldn't be eating something like that up like the OJ trial. I thought that our obsession with celebrity was such that poisonous details about somebody's life falling apart. Just like what we do with the Nets and the Lakers. We like a mess, whether it's Charlie Sheen or someone else. I would have assumed that everyone would be consuming this in the modern age on YouTube through their devices, wherever it is that they can find Johnny Depp testifying.
It's kind of what we discussed in the local hour with the Heat, that once you have LeBron, Wade, and Bosh, everything pales in comparison. Once you've had the OJ trial, everything pales in comparison, Dan.
Okay, but that was a murder, Stugotz, and it was 30 years ago.
Well, someone did a 12-part documentary on it. It was probably 10 parts too long. It was a friend of yours. I forget his name. He won an Oscar for it. It was decent. It was pretty good. I mean, tell me something I don't know. But what I'm saying is that was the trial of the century, and it's hard to bounce back once you've had the trial of the century,
Wasn't it last century, though?
Yeah, and we're waiting for a new trial. But I feel like it's still too close to the OJ trial. You got to wait another 100 years.
No, but there's always the celebrity trial that for whatever reason becomes way more in our public consciousness for some like the Casey Anthony trial. There have been public court cases that have captured the national attention, and this one is being televised. We get to hear it we get to see Johnny Depp at a witness stand. That is legitimately fascinating because it's actually a real view into who he is.
Or who he's pretending to
testimony.
be.
It is testimony.
No, but it's with facts, it's with text, it's how he operates in his daily life.
I wonder which part of the audience here, because this has so many of the elements that people like when chewing on the pop culture stuff, Stugotz, because we can't dispute that when we got obsessed with the Will Smith thing and the Chris Rock violence thing, and we don't know what the relationship between those two people are, you are getting a way too intimate look, Stugotz, at the horrors of what was a really abusive relationship that seems like it went both ways. And wherever it is you side, Jessica, it's because you say, I don't know how much confirmation bias there is, and I don't know how much with a lovable actor like Johnny Depp, people want to so badly believe in him and not have their myth shattered on the artist that they love, that they will defend him under all circumstances. But what you're seeing here is no matter the degrees on who's most wrong, there's a whole lot of wrong here on both of them. That the testimony includes how Johnny Depp grew up and how they grew up to show you how it is somebody gets into an abusive relationship. And I wonder if it's so true and transparent that some people might not want to even get that close because it's so messy. Once you get to cigarettes burned on each other and acts of violence that are, that are just hard to understand for whatever anyone imagines about a celebrity Hollywood life.
Yeah, I mean, I would push back that you think it's not getting a lot of coverage. Like, it has been the number one trending topic on Twitter for over a week now. Like, it seems like there's a lot of people talking about it, but I haven't really read anything outside of just tweets, which I feel like anytime you get, a news from just a tweet, you probably should get it confirmed somewhere else. So that's why I haven't really been keeping up with it.
The reason I asked the question about that, I don't know what the coverage has been nationally. I know how little interest there's been in this room from everyone here about something that usually would trigger a whole lot of interest anywhere that things were being broadcast. And as Elon Musk buys Twitter, and as mainstream media and legacy media splinters apart because everybody's developing their own land in space, Twitter will be the dictator of where these things are discussed. And I don't know how it's being covered in mainstream media, but the testimony is so long, Stugotz. Like the things that you're watching are so long, they don't make it very easy to put in bite-sized clips on the national news programs or on however it is. 75% of people are still doing stuff the old-fashioned way. They're not streaming. 75% of people, or 74% of people. In those spaces on television, are they covering the holy hell out of Johnny Depp and Amber Heard? Or is it something that is the domain of entertainment tonight? There's not a murder involved, but there's an abusive relationship and a very famous star. His life is coming apart. Is there a difference between the way this is being consumed in the mainstream and the way it's being consumed on Twitter? Are those synonyms now? That if it's being talked a lot about on Twitter,
it's not covered by the mainstream?
If it's being talked a lot about on Twitter, then it is simply something that's being covered a lot because everyone's got their own voices, everyone's at the trough, and if it's something that's being talked about on social media, then if it's the number one trending topic, then it is mainstream now. Then it's the new mainstream.
Well, especially because, as we discussed earlier in the week when Elon Musk bought Twitter, Twitter has a significant bias towards journalists. In particular, every journalist is on Twitter and filters their conversation daily through putting their work out on Twitter and talking to other journalists on Twitter. And so, yes, if it is a thing that is dominating conversation amongst people on that particular platform, then it is something that is being covered. I also, I just did a cursory glance at the news, the New York Times is covering this trial, NPR is covering this trial, CNN is covering this trial. This is getting mainstream news coverage. I don't watch the evening news. So I don't know if it's in the A block of, the CBS Evening News with Norah O'Donnell, but I do know that it's getting a lot of online media coverage because it's a really interesting celebrity trial.
It's also a busy news cycle right now. NBA playoffs, you got the draft. There's a lot going on.
There's literally a war going on in Europe.
Too. Right,
so that's been covered by a lot of the news agencies.
What was number 8 on the
Oh, yeah.
list? Yeah.
Number 8 is when Witty says, "Not for me, Clive." Whatever that
One of my favorites.
He calls me Clive once in a while.
Clive Owen?
Yeah.
What is the origins of that? Who is the Clive? It's just
Clive is a soccer commentator who, whenever there's a decision that you don't agree with in the game, the announcer who's with him says, "That's not a penalty for me, Clive." And so that became that's the name of his book, is Not for Me, Clive.
Number 7.
Bin. Instead of trash, bin.
Number 6.
Instead of shit, he says shite.
You do that too, though.
I do that.
Well, he's picked up. Chris Cody is now saying good shout.
Annoying.
It's annoying.
He said,
it is.
Chris Cody said, "Not for me, Clive," at lunch yesterday. It was the happiest I've ever been.
You hang around with people, you start saying
Chris
some
is
of
a
the things they
personality
say.
chameleon, yeah.
Put it on the poll, please, at LeBatard Show. Is Chris Cody a personality chameleon? Where are we? Number 5 or number 4?
Number
I haven't
6.
noticed.
Number 6.
When he says get in. Get in where? Why?
Number 5.
Bona fides.
Bona fides.
Only 5? Wow, that's a good list.
Number 4.
When he says controversy.
Number 3.
Oh, we were on number 3. Number
You
2.
know what? When I said number 6, Tony, you did screw this up.
Yeah, I did.
You
did.
know, I was going to correct
I
you.
didn't wanna- I didn't wanna
correct
do
it.
it.
No,
Let's
it's okay.
no, that- Tony, this is unbelievable. I quit on the list. It's
What was 7? What was 7?
Number 2.
We still have number 4.
Number 2.
No, wait a minute.
Time out.
God damn it, Tony.
What was
When
7?
I said number 6, I thought to myself, we've already done 3 of these.
We did 6.
Did 6, yeah.
And you said, we got to start all over.
Oh, yeah, we got to
we
start
did.
over. Yeah, we got to start over.
Started 8.
Number 8.
Yeah,
Number 8.
numbers.
Number 8.
Yeah, it's just I wrote them off, kind of off kilter. So
Tony,
it's hard to
it's because you were in a rush to get to the microphone, Tony, with your list. That's
good
why.
He
list.
said he had a top 5 when he only had 2. He was
That's
going to
correct.
start the
No,
list
he was
of
gonna
5
do
with
that.
2.
He's faster than you guys, but his lists are sloppier. And look at what happens.
Well, the number was sloppy. Okay, number 8, not for me, Clive. Number 7, bin. Number 6, shite. Number 5, get in. Number 4, bona fides. Number 3, controversy. Number 2 is Christmas. Number 1 is dilemma, which I hate when he says dilemma.
It's a great list. You yearn for a day where we have public transportation down here, don't you?
Love public
It's
transportation.
the best.
First time I went around London on the tube, it was like, this is number 9.
The tube. Yeah,
tube.
add that to the list. Do you guys love a train as much as Whittingham loves a train? I think Smetty really loves a train because she knows the convenience of taking a train into work, right?
We have failed as a
love
country
trains.
to not have more trains. Particularly,
agree.
I would like to discuss this with Billy Corbett on Because Miami. Why has our city failed us on trains?
But I don't think the country has failed in terms of trains. I think that this
the country
city
has failed.
Well,
No,
no,
the
this
country-
city has
because
failed.
this is what happened. Dwight D. Eisenhower decided, we're going to put highways everywhere. We're going to destroy cities by putting an interstate highways straight through neighborhoods and cities instead of building a high-speed rail system like, I don't know, the UK, Europe, the rest of the freaking world. We don't have shit. We have cars. Everyone has their own car and drives their own car, and everyone has gotten used to the convenience of having their own car to get from point A to point B whenever they want, because we never ever gave trains a chance across the country, not just like in cities, because we have subways, and Chicago has the L, New York has the subway, LA even has some sort of like rail
But
system.
LA's is crappy too.
I've never been,
Yeah.
but we gave up on trains. Like we have the Amtrak, but the Amtrak it's not high speed in a lot of places. It
Right.
stops a lot and it's expensive in a lot of places too. Like getting from New York to DC on the Amtrak sometimes it'd definitely be faster if you drove, if you go off peak, but it's also expensive. You might as well just fly or I don't know, do something else. Parachute in. It's
But
expensive. It's like $300.
But there are a few things
You can buy
as
it also
relaxing
without
as a
sale.
nice 45-minute, 50-minute, train ride
I love
home
the
or train
train.
ride to work.
Stugotz,
Yes.
I
so
love
I
the
very
train.
much look forward to this because it appears like Brightline is changing some of its stops and
They're adding more. Yeah, they're
adding more
building
stops
new
where me,
stops.
Whittingham, and Chris Cody could potentially take a train in on a daily basis, and I'm very excited about this.
That would be
That
awesome.
would be extraordinary. It would be life changing. The quality of my life would improve so much. Can you imagine being able to commute and not having to pay attention to the commuting? Like I could read a book on the way home.
Yep.
Can you imagine?
It's exactly what I plan on doing.
I bring a book with me, and then
People
I
do that when
read
they drive in Miami anyway.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Did you turn off your mic before the enormous sneeze, or did the
My mic
enormous
was off.
sneeze
My mic
ring
was off.
across?
I was
sneezed-
still yammering.
I
the
sneezed
studio.
through Chris Whittingham's mic.
You were
believe.
talking about this though because I do believe I was reading some information about Elon Musk. I believe that he is now worth more than all of the other 9 American car makers, and I believe I have all of this right when I say yes. We became a gas guzzling country, and we became an auto nation country, and yes, we did not go the route of trains. And now the richest man in the world is a man whose company does not turn a profit, but who has a promise of electric cars and a future that also does not include I guess he also wants
promised
to do
us
trains.
a bullet train from Orlando down to
Exactly.
Miami
where's
that would
the
get us
Hyperloop?
here
With
in
the
14
promises.
minutes.
Where is
right.
Yeah,
where is
thank
the
you.
Hyperloop
Exactly.
train?
No more promises. Start delivering.
The Tesla exists.
It's
Like,
super. Sorry, it's super effing expensive. Like the common person cannot get a Tesla. So like I understand this like gas consumption car shaming that they have, but like normal people cannot buy electric cars right now. They're not affordable to common people.
And he's the richest man in the world on a company that doesn't make a profit because he's got a head start on the idea that eventually we're all going to need to have cars that are electric. And now he bought Twitter, and all of his cars have a device that allow it to make a fart noise when you honk.
But where's the bullet train? I mean, where is it? Orlando to Miami in 14 minutes. That's what he promised. That's what he promoted.
Well,
and
wait,
as
hold on.
usual, it never
14
got
minutes?
That can't
something
be right.
like that. It was
That's
a bullet
what
train.
I think it was 12.
Look
I
it
feel
up.
like
Yeah.
you're
That
pulling
is not
G's at
possible.
that point.
That is not.
Look it up.
Okay, we will look this up.
Look it
Stugotz.
up.
Okay, you
Look
can
it
keep
up,
saying
indeed.
look it up.
Look it up.
There is not a way,
Yeah.
Stugotz. How fast do you have this vehicle going that it would get
I
us?
have my face peeled back.
Stugotz, you cannot. It is not possible that Elon Musk.
You're in a tunnel. Yeah.
And you
bullet, Dan.
And yeah, but how fast is the bullet moving?
14
Faster than the
Faster
speed
than a
of sound.
train?
Yeah.
Faster than the speed of sound.
Faster than a plane? Because a plane cannot get me from Orlando to Miami in 14 to 18 minutes.
It can if you don't have to deal with the runways and the
No, it
ascending
cannot.
and descending.
No, it
Yeah,
cannot.
if you go in a straight line on a plane on the
what?
ground, there was no interruption. You get there in 15 minutes.
Billy's right
Thank
because
you.
don't have to climb to altitude on a train. Like you just get from point A to point B, and the track is cleared. You know that there's no traffic ahead of you, right? Because there's signals. So you just go from point A to point B, and you don't have all this other shit going on. You also probably don't need to go through like TSA security. Like there'd probably be a little bit of security, but it wouldn't be like you have to get there 2
but
hours
a flight
early.
time is not 14 minutes.
It could be.
According to an article that I'm reading from realestatecentralflorida.com, Elon Musk has promised an Orlando to Miami commute in 30 minutes.
Nailed it.
That's just the prototype. From there, you're
That's
able to
double
kind of
what
get
you
it down.
said.
No,
Right.
you get it down. You get it down eventually.
You keep getting better at
Just
it.
exactly.
You go
Dan gets
faster.
it. Yeah.
No, it's the opposite. You say 30, and then you deliver, and it's like 40, and then who's going to be mad at you? Because
I
only off
can't
by
get
10.
off
Just
the
deliver
beach
at this
in
point,
14
honestly.
minutes. With how bad our infrastructure is in Miami. And now I read something about we don't have any more places to put the trash. We've just got we have
You need
run
to stop
out.
reading, Dan. Every time you read something,
Yeah.
you get really upset about
There's
it.
nothing good
stop.
out there,
Exactly.
man.
Just
Right.
don't read, and then you'll be fine. You
Billy's
won't figure out
Billy's
about these
takes in
things.
this segment have gone from enough with trains to enough with electric cars, and then stop reading.
Not
So
enough
our-
with
our-
electric cars.
so-
No. My thing is, let's make electric cars that people can actually afford, and then you can solve the problem. But when you have electric cars that no one can buy, then you're going to keep using regular cars.
What if I
think-
just don't use a car and I get on the train?
Bingo.
Please.
Yahtzee.
It's a magic train that's not going to give off any emissions. Please.
No, some of them are electric, Billy.
No.
They're rail, like the rail has electricity and it powers the train.
No, I don't think
They're
so.
not like you're not running gas under New York City in
I've
the
seen it.
subway. They're not steam engine like coal freight trains. This isn't the Orient Express.
Billy is right that the car is too expensive. The place that Billy is wrong is seems to have worked out for him, those prices. Like, it's not too expensive if it is something that is being made at a rate of speed that allows him to buy Twitter as an afterthought because he's a guy who puts fart noises in his car.
Well, yeah, no, you can have rich people buy them and you'll make a ton of money, but you're not going to change the world and stop having people use gas cars when they can't buy the cars. Also, the thing about these trains, and Tony pointed out, which is a good question, how do I stop at Wendy's? How do I stop to get some fast food on these trains?
Well, you
I don't like it.
you can question the convenience of the train already, even though it doesn't move as the speed that Stugotz would like it to.
It was close.
But if it's
Well, it
going to
doesn't
get
move
there,
at all
if,
right
if
now.
it's going to get there in
Put the Wendy's in
14
the
to
train
30
station.
minutes, yes, it can be a train with food on it.
You know who loves trains? Joe Biden loves trains.
What's not to love about a train?
I
the
agree,
best.
Dan. My mother used to commute into Chicago on the train every single day for 15 years. Those
Picking
are my
up-
train bona fides.
Picking up the Chicago Tribune, reading
Daily
the
Herald.
the news section.
I am telling you, it is
The
heaven
sports
for Chris
section.
Whittingham. The way he described this to me
It's
yesterday,
great.
It really was.
just opening up a newspaper,
you
spreading
imagine?
out on a train. I mean,
You know what else you do? You get a little cup of coffee, maybe a croissant. You sit in your seat, open up the paper, you sip your coffee, you eat leisurely, you make a couple stops, you get to where you're going, and you have a relaxed, pleasant morning.
Every train I've been on has someone shitting in the corner.
How many times has that happened to you?
Every time I've been on a train. Everything is sticky with pee and all kinds of other bodily fluids. Like, you're not going to be eating a crust nothing.
Well, that's just the Metro Rail, though.
Put
That's
it
what
on
happens.
the poll, please. Have you ever, not every time, have you ever been on a train and someone was shitting in the corner?
It happens.
I lived in New York for
100%.
years and I've never seen shit on the train. I know other people have, like some of my friends have, but I haven't. I also used to walk to work every day.
But you know what happens.
We can change the
happens.
culture of the Metro Rail if we all started to use it.
It's also a commuter rail versus like a city like subway system are kind of like two different things. Like the commuter rail has big seats and you sit in your seat and you like all face the same direction. Like a subway train is different. You're all kind of facing each other and it's made for people who get on and off regularly.
If you
commuter
know-
train, you're not getting on and off regularly.
If you know the subway system in New York City, and it's confusing, but if you know it, you'll never take a car again. No, Smetty, it's not confusing. It's not to you because you live there. It would be confusing to anyone else. But once you get used to it, you would never jump in a cab again.
Never, because
Right.
it costs a shit ton of money.
Yes.
And guess what? The train, $275, get you from anywhere. This is what's different than the tube. So the tube, there's zones. So if you live in the furthest zone and you have to go to like the closest zone, which is like the center of London, which is like the high rent, pricey place, you have to pay more money. Whereas in New York City, if you want to go from Yankee Stadium in the Bronx all the way to Lower Manhattan, $275.
Yep.
You're paying the same rate. So people who actually live in the outer boroughs can travel and it costs the same amount of money. It's not cost prohibitive to go farther on the train.
We have to pause and gather ourselves because we're minutes away from First Take starting. And First Take is Mad Dog Russo's territory now. Although, Stugotz, I do worry, okay? You mentioned some numbers for Chris Russo that were less than positive, even as we were delighting because every Wednesday is Haffle-Check Wednesday.
Yeah.
And you said the ratings weren't as good for Mad Dog Russo as we thought they were. There had been a drop of like 50,000 viewers.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether you've noticed or not, but JJ Redick's open disdain for ESPN while being on ESPN, like complaining about
It's
how
fantastic.
how some of the things the conversations he thinks are stupid, and he's not shy about telling you that he doesn't like their docket or doesn't like the topics of the day or doesn't like how extreme some of the things being said are. And I believe it's possible that JJ Redick might do better ratings than Chris Mad Dog Russo. Is that blasphemy to say, Billy? Like, as you scurry and gather your things and get ready to report live from the kitchen, is it blasphemous to say that JJ Redick might be more popular with ratings than Chris
No,
Russo?
he can get off First Take. He's ruining it.
Yeah.
Yeah, enough.
Yeah.
Get off.
I wouldn't be surprised if Russo made a demand and said, hey, Wednesday is about me and Stephen A. Get Reddick out of here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if Reddick is on Wednesdays. I
he
just
shouldn't
know
be.
that
You shouldn't be anywhere around Russo. I mean, respect the legend.
Exactly right. What have you done, JJ Redick?
Mm-hmm.
Wait a second. I mean, he's the host of a very popular NBA podcast. I feel like
Nah.
we might be inadvertently starting podcast beef.
Bigger
This
than
guy-
Mike and the Mad Dog? I
Right.
don't think so.
I mean,
Tim.
Russo started sports radio.
That's right. The reason his podcast exists is because of what Chris Russo did beforehand.
So you should kiss the ring.
That's right.
Exactly.
Ratings went down on Wednesday again. Went down on Wednesday.
'Cause of
Went back-
Reddick.
Went
Yeah.
back
That's
up on
right.
Thursday.
Yeah, because they heard Reddick was on.
I don't think Reddick is on Wednesdays. I think you guys.
He was on last week because
Yeah,
he
last
did,
Wednesday,
he
yeah.
did say that John Havlicek played with plumbers.
Right.
Yeah,
Which
so
is a great
disrespectful.
take.
He was guarding
Just didn't-
plumbers.
He is
right?
that's as good as debate television.
I mean,
gets.
it's also
Doggy didn't know what to do.
not
I mean,
fair.
it's checkmate.
People had
It
to
is
get side
checkmate.
jobs at the time. You know, they didn't pay players to just decide not to
Exactly.
play back in the day. You know what I
Right.
mean? Back in the day, you earned your money, not like now.
He was a basketball player and a plumber.
Mm-hmm.
You
Right.
earned your money with 2 or 3 jobs. You were taking trays of milk to somebody's home and then playing third base
That's
for
right,
that
same
person in
night.
the stands.
You
That's right.
made an honest living, Dan. Something I know nothing about.
Yes,
I mean,
that went without saying, Stugotz.
well, I
understand.
said it anyways.
I am shocked by the information that's being given here that Russo's ratings are going down. I am shocked that that JJ Redick yesterday is desecrating the ESPN model, Stugotz, because he is saying the things you guys are talking about here, some of them are very stupid. They're stupid things. that you're making me play between the lines here on how I'm supposed to analyze basketball. JJ Redick is, I think we can say this as an expertise on basketball on ESPN. Do they have a lot of people now that Paul Pierce is gone? More recently, who have been excellent at basketball? Like just recently, like where you've got Legler or you've got some of your authorities, but an athlete voice who's coming in with his own brand who can use ESPN the way McAfee did. Like I'm in and out here. I'm just using your platform to get in and out, sell my stuff. I'm building my own thing. I'm not beholden to you. I'm just going to come in on Tuesday, say some things, go viral, use you to help my brand. Like, does ESPN have another person that I'm missing that is an authority that's recently linked to the game?
I think Shanae, I mean, she's still an active player and she has like national spots on ESPN. It's really cool what she's doing. She used to have a show with Gojo. And now she's doing like the main like primetime NBA broadcast, I think.
The NBA Today, yeah, as well.
Draymond Green is trying to get into this space while he's playing as well. It's smart to do it while you're still playing. Draymond Green's going to have his choice of jobs. Draymond Green is going to...
I don't think Draymond needs anyone's help. I think Draymond can survive by himself.
He's the Barkley replacement.
Yeah. You think so?
Yes.
It seems obvious. Yes, he says things. He says things while he's still playing. He's
on Inside the NBA when he's out of the playoffs.
Yeah, but I think Chuck likes to talk about giving up that seat, and I don't think Chuck's going to give up that seat anytime soon.
Done.
Really?
I think he's done.
Really?
Yeah, he's been talking about it so much. Those days are long,
Pat Riley talks about go stepping away a lot too.
But Pat Riley doesn't mean it. Pat Riley really doesn't mean it. He knows himself enough to know that.
And you believe Charles means it?
Well, but Charles has been saying 4 years, 3 years, 2 years. His contract's up. I'm not signing anywhere else. Like I'm done. Regardless, you might not think
negotiations.
You might not want it. Okay, that's fine. You can question it if you want. But Draymond Green is going to have whatever voice he wants in this stratosphere because Draymond Green is willing to take out, what did he call Kendrick Perkins the other day? Because he like Mr. Bozo or something. Like it just nobody's willing to do that. You don't. And certainly Kevin Durant does it differently. You would agree, right? When he is fighting with the media, there's something about it that feels different than Draymond Green fighting with the media. Am I wrong about this?
Kevin Durant, it's odd that he would, it's not even fighting with the media. It's just responding to people on Twitter and how sensitive he is. Draymond doesn't seem to give a bleep.
I don't think that Draymond is in any way sensitive. Like, I may be wrong about this.
You don't think anyone's sensitive, do you?
I don't think
David Sampson, who else, Dan?
I don't think that if you're sensitive, you would be careful about these conflicts.
I think Draymond is incredibly perceptive about what's said about him.
If you're sensitive, you lash out.
No, yeah, like that from like it isn't like not being sensitive. Well, it can manifest itself any number of ways. But for me, it's just not caring. It's just like going on about your life, not thinking about what Twitter critics say about you or what national pundits say about you.
But can you do that if you're sensitive? Can you do that? This is what I'm saying about Draymond. Not giving a bleep is such a weapon for Draymond. I believe that Kevin Durant is hurt. These fights hurt him.
Yes.
I believe Draymond craves them. I believe Draymond says, say whatever you want. I'm going to keep saying things that make you talk about me. What he said of Kendrick Perkins, Stugotz, my words matter more than yours.
Mm-hmm.
He knows what his power is. Draymond Green is consistently defiant. His fuel, all right? Whatever his fuel is, bleep off, bleep you, bleep all of you. He's not scared. You can't play the way he does and be scared. And I don't see where you guys see sensitive. I see someone, if you're sensitive in his face, he will blowtorch you. And I see where Kevin Durant and him might not get along because if you're sensitive in his face, he will blowtorch you.
But I think that's why, people are maybe, Jess is saying maybe he is sensitive because when you are sensitive, you lash out. Like if it didn't hurt that much, then why would you lash out? If you're so secure with yourself, why would you lash out at everyone?
I think some guys run on conflict and rage and anger as fuel, and I think some guys in sports get so confident overachieving the way he has when he's undersized and comes from what he comes from, and you keep saying he can't defend and he can defend better than anyone ever, and whatever fuels that, somebody talking on television, bleep off. You don't know what it takes to be me. You don't know what my greatness is. You're Kendrick Perkins. Your words don't matter. Your words don't matter the way mine do because you weren't as good at this as I am, even though you're a champion, and you're not as interesting as I am. And that's the kind of confident defiance that really scares people. It's what makes to whoever it is that thinks Draymond Green is unlikable. That's where it resides.
But if he was actually that confident and actually believed those things, he wouldn't say them. Like some people that are the loudest and most arrogant are the most insecure.
Do you think it's possible to be what Draymond Green is as a player and person, or what you know him to be, being insecure? Like, do you think that is something that can be
I think
so?
everyone has their insecurities.
Well, it sort of
don't they?
has to be, right? Because if you're the 35th pick in the draft and you use that as the fuel to get, it's that doubt, right? It starts from a place of people didn't believe in me. And also, like, his own team didn't believe in him for a while. And it wasn't until Steve Kerr came in and kind of happened to pawn Draymond Green. It wasn't like a plan. And then all of a sudden his career takes off from there.
My point to you would be, if no one's believed in you, and you're the only one who's had to believe at times that no one believed in you, don't you think your confidence would be pretty real? Like if no one believed in you and you're the dude who's like, nah, I can do this, and then you become best ever at defense, at guarding people, or at being a champion that runs off Kevin Durant because you're like, we don't really need you, dude. We were plenty good when you weren't here, and I just kept passing to Steph and Steph and Steph all the time. And you still view Kevin Durant as riding your coattails because that's how confident you are, delusionally confident. I don't know, but I would think that if to get where Draymond Green got, his confidence is as real as his defense.
Well, I don't think anyone's questioning his confidence and whether or not it's real, but you could still be that confident with that same story and still have your insecurities. I mean, and he probably does.
I suppose any human being would have insecurities, but what I would argue, Stugotz, is that once you get to where these people are, they can, because of their successes, have a delusional confidence that we are not capable of. Not even you, who's capable of some pretty delusional confidence. Doesn't mean that there won't be Of course, there are places that he's going to be human, but the way that he goes after people, Stugotz, is something that I've only seen from Barkley during his playing days. Like, there aren't many guys willing to do that.
But go after everyone. That's going to be the interesting thing for me with Draymond Green. When the playing career's over and you do this full time and Steve Kerr does something in the playoffs that you don't agree with, go after Steve Kerr.
Stugotz,
go after Steph Curry. I'm not saying he won't.
Stugotz, Draymond Green has had so much success at what he's already doing and what he already wants that this TNT job is already his. And you know where it started? Because he wasn't afraid to beef with that show.
Correct.
That show had Hall of Famers,
Yes.
and he's like, bleep off. You guys aren't better than me at this. And you're not better at the broadcasting, and you're not better at the basketball. Now, of course, Shaq and Barkley are all-time greats, but Draymond believes he's got a place at that table.
Yes, and he does. And he'll have that if that's what he chooses to do. I'm watching my television right now. I apologize. I'm distracted. Notice who's not there. Doggy is there. Stephen A. is there. I'm not happy that Jay Williams is there, but J.J. Redick is not.
Mm-hmm. Ratings are going to go up.
Doggy made him go away.